What a good helper. My goodness. Hey, you are so in the way right now. Did you know that? Hi everyone, it's Erin. Can you believe it's time to get set up for March? I have been getting set up for everything really early because this year has been way busier so far than I expected it to be, which is kind of nice. And I got a new pen for this layout. It's an orange one because I was kind of thinking of cats and colours of cats, and I was thinking along the lines of, a ginger cat or maybe like a tortoiseshell kitty. So I grabbed this orange pen to make sure, because I didn't have anything quite like it, that I was going to be all good for this layout. And I have to dedicate it to my beautiful mustache boy Mitsu, who you saw in the intro there. If you want to see more of him, he does have his own Instagram, which is linked in the description down below. So go check that out if you want to see more of his adorable little mustache. I'm starting off with a gridded kind of layout for my calendar page. Pretty similar to what I did for February, except this time I'm going to make sure I've got space above each of the boxes for a number to go, like the number of the day. I didn't factor myself in space to put Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday along the top of these boxes. So if you were going to do this, maybe give yourself an extra row at the top before you draw any kitties, because that's where we're going with this layout. We're going to be drawing some kitties. Oh my gosh. As with all of my layouts, you don't have to go in and doodle. You can absolutely set this up without any kind of decoration besides maybe a little bit of colour. You could do it totally just in black and white if you preferred, and I think it would still look really nice and aesthetic and just sleek and minimal with a little pop of colour, or not colour, depending on how your vibe goes. I did intend for my orange and yellow stripes here to alternate, but I forgot, and then I figured cats wouldn't care, so I'm just going to go with it. And just in case you're wondering, my layouts are always Monday starting because I like to start my weeks on a Monday. Just feels cleaner to me that way. If at any point you're watching me set this up and you're thinking, man, I'd really like to use this layout, but I am just way too lazy, never fear, I've got you. You can actually jump onto Etsy and get this as a printable right now from my shop. All you gotta do is search for Erin and the Light, or you can just use the link in the bio, which will take you straight there without you having to search for anything. And it doesn't have to be for March 2021, which is when I'm going to be using this layout. I've also got a blank version in there for you as well, so that you can set it up for whatever month in whatever year that you would like to. Just quietly, I would probably recommend an October if you live in the Northern Hemisphere, because these colours are a little bit fall, aren't they? A little bit Halloween, which I guess because I'm in the Southern Hemisphere it kind of works, because March is the beginning of autumn for us. Yes, we are the opposite on the other side of the world, here in Australia. In case you're wondering about pens, my orange and yellow here are Faber-Castell Pitt Artist brush pens, and that thick black line is coming from the Tombow dual tip brush pen from the knot brush end. Time for some kitties. Okay, I have been drawing these little kitties since I was in high school, and I don't know why. I just started drawing them one day. I didn't see anyone else do it. I just was like, I love cats. I've always loved cats. So let's just draw a cat in my notebook instead of doing my maths homework that I was probably meant to be doing. So they're basically just a blob of a body with a crescent moon-shaped head, some whiskers. I did look up a few kitties for reference to see what their bodies do while they're sitting in certain ways, and then simplified the heck out of it. And that is how I have come up with these imperfect, mysterious silhouette kitties that you will see here. Silhouette kitties are great because you don't have to give them any kind of expression or anything. They're just, the body says everything for you, I guess. And this little guy down on the left side of the calendar standing up, he is definitely dedicated to my Mitsu, who we call Longshanks when he stands up on his back legs. You know how cats are always way longer than you expect until you see them all stretched out like that? He probably could have been a bit fatter, but that's okay. I'm also going to go in here with my little brown Faber-Castell Pitt Artist brush pen and just add some paw prints, because it's an easy way to fill up a bit of negative space without having to put too much effort in. I'm literally just doing a little blob and 3 little dots on top of it. If you want to do a better blob, you can make it a little triangle. I actually did mine kind of the wrong way. So you want to have the pointy bit of the triangle facing in towards the little toe bean imprints rather than outward like I'm doing here. And I fixed that up on the printable version, so don't you worry. We don't really get yellow leaves or orange, crispy, crunchy leaves to walk on here in Australia. Most of our trees are evergreen, so we don't really get that experience of seasons changing that you maybe find in other places in the world. So I always like to bring it into my bullet journal and, live vicariously, I guess. The weather gets a little cooler, but that's about it here in Brisbane where I live. My next page is for gratitude and habits. Exact same setup. Oh, actually not quite. Very similar setup to what I did in February, where I've got my gratitude column over here on the left side. Each day has its own spot, which I'm just highlighting out the number and the initial for each day of the week on the left side. And in the space, I just put a few words about whatever I'm grateful for that day. I was doing 1 word a day, but I am just verbose. I don't know. I like my words. I like a lot of words, as you can probably tell because you're listening to me yammer on right now. I've also consolidated the habit tracker, skincare tracker. I had them set up separately in my last layout. This time I'm just doing, they're all habits. Skincare is also habits. And for the printables, I was like, how many people are tracking skincare like you're tracking skincare, Erin? So just to make it a little bit more accessible, I've consolidated those into one big blobby. I am alternating my orange and yellow here again to keep that color scheme going on. And I'm just going to erase my pencil lines before I get in here and trace out where the numbers and the initial for each day are going to go along the top. A good tip if you like to set your bullet journal up this way to do a gratitude or a habit tracker where it's starting from one end of the page is to work out what the last day of the month is. So for March, we have 31 days. Start with that 31, count all the way back, and then you'll see how much space you need to eat into on the other side. Obviously in February I had a little bit more space to play with, but we have many more days, a whole 3 of them. So, a little bit tighter. You just got to be careful about how you space things out on your page. And I do find that different notebook companies have different numbers of dots to the page as well. So sometimes it's not helpful for me to be like, you need this many dots for a box because your book might not allow that, or you might have too much space. So, your mileage may vary, as they say. I was smart this time, keeping my little bit of paper towel on hand. I made it a little bit damp as well to make it easier to wipe off while I got this Tombow brush pen, but not brush pen, end all over my ruler, because that stuff, it gets smudgy on the page and then it gets on your fingers and then it smudges on the page even more off your fingers. So it's definitely a good idea if you're getting in with a ruler to just wipe it down in between every couple of lines just so that you're not smudging things out. I missed one here. Gonna add that on. And now it's lettering time. I'm just going for long skinny letters this time. Usually I like to get in there with a brush pen or, the same pen that I'm using right now and try and make things curly and loopy, but I wasn't feeling curly or loopy this month, so we're going with some straight up and down kitty letters instead. I just felt like they went nicely with the cats. I don't know. Like I mentioned, you could leave it at this point. It would look totally fine. You don't necessarily need to put any paw prints or any kitties down the bottom. Of course I'm going to. So here's my paw prints to start us off. Such an easy way to fill up some space really, really quickly. The kitties take a little bit longer than the paw prints do, but actually not that long, especially compared to my roses last month. They were a little bit time consuming, but I really enjoyed them. So, it was worth it. I really like looking back at it. I do feel like I'm falling into a bit of a groove, a bit of a style with my bullet journal so far for 2021, which is nice. Enjoying it quite a bit more than looking back at my old layouts from last year. I think these ones are a little superior. This sitting cat is the best. It's a teardrop kind of milk bottle shape. 2 little dots on the bottom for his paws, crescent moon for his head, and just a wiggle for the tail, however you want, because kitty tails are very flexible. You can draw them out however you like. Trying to really demonstrate to you as I sketch out the shape of the kitty too, like where everything's going. So I drew in the whiskers then, despite them being about to disappear into the rest of the black of the kitty, just so you can kind of see where things would be. So he's got a little foot at the back. He's got 2 little paws sticking out to the front like a sphinx. I feel like these two are having a little kitty conversation, they're having a chat. Going to erase some pencil lines, and that is it for this spread. We're going to turn the page. Goals and expenses, same as I've done the last couple of months, just a box for the goals, doesn't go all the way down. I like to split it into 3 sections, but I haven't done that this time so that this can be really flexible for whoever wants to use it. If you did grab it as a printable, just a box with a bit of space at the bottom for some decoration, really. I like how that kind of fits. I did want to make sure I tied in my colour scheme, so I'm adding some orange behind my goals title, just with the Faber-Castell Pitt brush pen, and going over it with the black to tie that into the other headings that I've done so far. Put some little paw prints through the middle of these 2 kitties down the bottom, who one of them looks like maybe they're playing or having a nice roll around on their back. You know how kitties like to do that. They won't do that in front of you unless they really trust you, which is kind of nice, because then when it happens you're like, aha, I win at catting. 2 squishy babies down the bottom here for this particular spread. One is just sitting and watching the other, or maybe it's looking at you, who knows. We can't see its face because faces are too hard, so I just didn't want to draw them. Do you blame me? Once again, blob for a body, a little snaky tail, and then just some little like rounded, elongated blobs for legs, I guess. The beauty of the silhouette is that if you don't like how it turns out, you can kind of just keep playing with it until you do like it. One thing I've noticed is that this Tombow dual tip brush pen bleeds a little bit when you go back in with another brush pen over the top. It gets onto the tip of the pen, and if it's a light color like this, you can really see it kind of messing with your colors. So I do recommend, wherever possible, put down your colored brush pen first and then get back in there with the Tombow if you're going to use that thicker end of the dual tip, because smudgy pens are no one's friend unless they are. I don't know, maybe smudgy pens are your friend. Who knows? Here's the Mitsu. He's back. He's going to help me set up, which is the most appropriate thing in the world when you're doing a cat bullet journal layout, that a cat should come and supervise. He is going to get a little bit in the way, but I adore him, so it's fine. Quick break for a kitty snuggle. We will return to your regularly scheduled programming in just a minute. I have been really enjoying this 1 page, but 2 setup expenses page. Does that make sense? I hope so. So it's item, category, and cost across 3 columns, and I've drawn it out twice so that I don't have to do this over a full double page spread. Saves a lot of paper. The Notebook Therapy Tsuki, which is currently my journal of choice, has less pages in it than the Leuchtturm 1917, which is what I have used for my previous 3 journals. The first 2 by choice, the third one because someone gave it to me and I wasn't going to waste it because I didn't want to waste it. So, trying to save pages because I don't think I'm going to be able to fit a full year into the book like I could with the Leuchtturm. So I'm trying to sort of time it to work out to about 6 months so it feels nice and round. But if it doesn't work out that way, it's not a big deal. It's all good. I forgot to get in there with the brush pen before I put down the line, so I just tried to avoid the edges to add those orange header boxes up there. And just going to use the same kind of pattern for the expenses heading at the top, so I'm going in with the yellow pen this time to kind of give it a shadow, and then the Tombow again over the top, just to make sure that all the colours are kind of represented across each page. It's always good. I like it when things look cohesive and intentional. Also just going to add a quick drop shadow with the yellow as well. Hello Mitsu, what a great helper. Now he's going to just sit there right on my wrist. That's a surefire sign that a kitty wants dinner. Anyway, sometimes you've just got to work around the kitty. Finishing up this drop shadow, I'm just going to add item, cost, and category to these headings. Sans cat. Just going to add some more little paw prints to bring these pages together. I really enjoy it sometimes when an element kind of falls off of one page and spills onto the facing page. Sometimes I think that just really ties things together nicely. Doesn't always work across printables, so not something that you'll see happening between layouts because, hey, maybe not everybody wants to use every page that's included, but, could be a good way to kind of tie the printable into the rest of your book if you did end up printing something out. Just saying, you don't have to. You could do this by hand. I'm doing it. no judgment here. Here's 2 pages I've never had in my bullet journal before. I'm trying new things. So the first is a mood tracker. I've had mood trackers before, but I never gave them their own page, and I never got too intense about the way that I set it up. You know, you see amazing bullet journal people making these cool artistic layouts online, and you're like, oh, it looks so nice, and it'll be so good when it's done, but it just always seems like a lot of effort to me. So I did one that was kind of just like a line graph, you know, where I'd like, on the x-axis was the mood, and on the y-axis was the days, and I just kind of drew a line up to about how I was feeling, and I didn't really enjoy it. So I'm trying this way instead. I've got the kitties are sitting on a wall, and the bricks of the wall are numbered for each day of the month, and I'm going to colour in each of the bricks. I've just decided to give myself a really simple key to start off with just basically happy, meh, and sad. I don't typically have many sad days, so I don't expect to see many sad bricks going on in here, but who knows, maybe March will be a sad month. But how could it be when I have a bullet journal full of kitties? I could never be sad with kitties. You definitely have to go in with pencil if you wanted to set up these bricks before you commit to the pen, because you don't really know how it's going to work out that you have the exact number of bricks that you need, so you probably need to condense some of them together, or, you know, make some of them smaller and stuff like that to get exactly the number of bricks that you need for the number of days in the month that you're setting up for. And the trick to make the bricks look really complete and like they're really just sitting together is to go all the way around, even on the edges where there's already another brick sitting up against it. Finish the line off, because that just helps to make them look cohesive and whole. And I learned that in a primary school drawing class from a dude called Wolf Wildwood. He has such an epic name that I have remembered it since like 1997. Thanks, Wolf Wildwood. The kitties here are just there for moral support, and they're doing a good job. I'm not adding too much colour to the general setup of this page because the wall is going to be the colour as I go through and fill it out. So I'm just putting my little happy, meh, and sad key on the side there, and my heading along the top, mood tracker, just in the same long skinny text that I've been using for everything so far. I've only used 2 colours so far for this layout, so I thought I should bring in another one, just kind of sticking with the colour family. I probably could have gone in with that brown, but I felt like it was a bit too dark, so I've just grabbed another yellow from my collection. I have a couple of yellows. This one is kind of like a marigold sort of thing, and we're moving on to the next page. I am actually on the record in my 5 tips for bullet journal beginners video saying that I wouldn't put a sleep tracker in my journal, and here I am. And yes, it is partially because of the printable factor, because I know a lot of people like to have this, but I also saw one on Instagram or Pinterest or somewhere lately, and it just looked so pretty, and I was like, I want a pretty page like that in my journal. So I thought, why not give it a try? The worst that can happen is that I don't use it, and if I don't use it, I don't do it again next month, and that's it. It only cost me a page and like 5 minutes because it's a super easy spread to set up. It's also going to be fairly busy once it's done. So the way it's going to work is I've got the numbers for each day of the month down the left side, like in a column, and across the horizontal, I've got some times from 10 p.m. through to 9 a.m. Hopefully I won't be sleeping in until 9 a.m. I'm in my 30s now. I'm trying really hard not to do that, be a responsible adult. So when I wake up, I will just log what time I went to bed up until what time I woke up and draw it in kind of a line across. And that's how the sleep tracker is going to work. And so hopefully I'll be able to see trends and, you know, see it across the page and be like, girl, get to bed earlier. Take care of yourself and get to bed earlier. My goodness. This last spread, this is exactly the same layout as I did for February. It is just some columns for the weekly, 4 columns on the right side, 3 columns on the left side, just because of that being the way the cookie crumbles. Doesn't look as uneven as you would think it would, because there are a different number of spaces in the columns on the right page than there are on the columns on the left page, but I do tend to get more tasks happening in the first half of the week, so that actually works really well for me, and then I'm like out working not in my office for generally Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So yeah, this layout works really well for me and I'm enjoying it, so I thought I'd bring it back. The only difference is that I'm decorating with the kitties instead of the roses, as I did in February, and I thought it might be cute to have a separate kitty for each day of the week. So I'm just going to go through and sketch them out first because I hadn't done that yet, and I want them all to look a little bit different. It has killed me a little bit since I set this up that I didn't think to do a kitty stretching. You know, when they put their front legs out and they put their head down and their butt goes up and their tail curls around all cute. I didn't think about it until after, and I really wish I'd done that for one of these guys. But I do have one who's like halfway through, you know, when they clean a back leg and so they're kind of sitting like they've got one leg up in the air. I went for one of those. He's on Friday, because that seems like a Friday thing to do. Kitty sitting up, kitty loafing very well. A+ quality loaf. Good job, kitty. I've got a standing kitty, probably on his way over to speak to Thursday kitty. Too bad though, because Thursday kitty is having a nap. And that's the point at which my memory card filled up, so excuse me while I get my laptop out here to transfer some stuff off. It's just going to chill in the frame for a little while. Here's my halfway through cleaning kitty with his legs still up in the air. Hopefully that makes sense, because if you don't know what he's doing, it kind of looks like he's going for an air split or something. I don't know. A grand jeté kitty. It's very graceful. I got another loafing cat. This one's got paws involved. The other one has them tucked under, I guess, because they are invisible. And the last kitty, I couldn't think of anything, so he's just sitting up, but his tail's going the opposite way to the one on the Monday, so he's still original. I wanted to get some more of my colours in here though, so I'm just going to get in here with the orange again because I have the yellow for the headers for each day of the week. Just adding, I guess, a border around each of these, but I'm not going over the top because that's where the kitties are, and I do not want to interfere with the kitties because they are drawn in the Tombow and they will probably smudge if I try to get in there with the yellow. And here, for the flip through, because he likes to be the most helpful bean in the entire world, is the Mitsu. Welcome back, Mr. Mitsu, broadcaster kitty extraordinaire, king of YouTube. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for pulling focus and not letting the camera focus on my notebook. Oh, he's going to move a little bit so that we can have the focus back. How considerate. I hope you've enjoyed setting up this journal with me. It's a little bit longer than usual because I have a whole extra spread that I don't usually do, so thanks for sticking it out if you're still here at this point. Let me know, are you a cat person? Because I think it's pretty obvious by this point that I definitely am. And I know kitties are not for everyone, but they are definitely for me. Jump onto Etsy if you want to have a look at my printables, and I will catch you again in another video soon. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have a cat, go and hug it now. And then hug it one more time for me.